Welcome back to the deep dive. We are doing something a little different today. Usually we look at broad concepts or, entire books. But today we are zooming way, way in.
Yeah, we're getting hyper-specific today.
Right. We are looking at a very specific, very dangerous, and honestly just fascinating corner of the classic module, the Keep on the Borderlands.
Which is, it's arguably the most famous introductory module in the entire history of the game.
Mhm.
But we aren't actually looking at the keep itself today. We are heading straight into the caves of chaos.
Yes, and we aren't even doing a generic sweep of the caves. We are ignoring the cultists.
Goodbye, cultists.
We're ignoring the kobolds for a minute. We are focusing entirely on a very specific ecosystem that I think completely defines this module, and that is the goblin lair, which is marked as Area D on the map, and its hulking, smelly neighbor, the ogre cave, Area E.
It's just such a classic setup. But what makes this specific section of the module so enduring, and honestly why we're dedicating a whole deep dive to it right now, is that it isn't just a room full of monsters waiting to be hit with a sword.
No, not at all.
It is a fully functioning, politically complex, and economically depressed society.
Exactly. It feels incredibly lived in. When you really analyze the source text and the layout, you realize these goblins are stressed out. I mean, they are working hard, they are completely paranoid, and they have some very, very bad neighbors.
And they have a very distinct smell.
Oh, man, the smell. Okay, let's unpack that right away because the atmosphere is so important here. The text makes a really big deal about the transition when you enter this specific lair.
Right, so if you look at the map of the ravine, most of the caves are natural formations. You've got limestone, rough walls, stalactites, the usual cave stuff. But when you get to the Goblin Lair Area D, the source specifies that the tunnels are worked stone.
Worked stone, that is a massive detail.
It really is. These aren't just rough holes they happen to find and crawl into. They've been dug out. They're squared off. It implies industry.
Yeah.
It implies that this tribe has been here a long time, and they have actually shaped their environment to fit their needs. They're builders in their own crude way.
And then, like you mentioned, there's the sensory detail. As you get deeper into these worked tunnels, specifically near the eastern side, the text notes a sour odor.
Which is usually nature's way of saying, turn back immediately.
Right, or check your ventilation. But in this case, that odor is actually a clue to the political structure of the entire lair.
Yeah, that smell isn't just bad hygiene, it's the smell of power, or at least hired muscle. It signals the presence of the ogre in the connecting cave. But before we even get to the ogre, we really have to talk about the entrance, because the minute you step into these worked stone tunnels, you aren't in a static dungeon. You are in traffic.
The patrols, yeah, I was looking at the wandering monster table for this specific area, and it is intense.
It is surprisingly aggressive for a starting area. In a lot of dungeons, you check for a wandering monster maybe once every hour or every few turns. Here, the text specifies a 1 in 6 chance every 30 feet.
Every 30 feet, that is basically every time you move your miniature on the map.
Exactly. It is relentless. If you are moving cautiously, mapping the floor, checking for traps, you are almost statistically guaranteed to run into someone.
But who are you running into? Because these aren't just armed squads looking for a fight, right?
No, and that is what brings the whole setting to life. The text says these patrols consist of 6 male goblins, but they are often carrying messages and bags of foodstuffs.
See, that changes the whole vibe for me. They aren't just standing there waiting for the heroes to show up. They're on the clock.
Exactly. It implies an active, hive-like society. They're moving supplies, they're communicating between the chieftain and the guards, rushing food to the storage rooms. It creates a real sense of urgency. You are intruding on a busy workplace.
Right.
And because it is so busy, when you do get caught, and you will get caught, we run into one of the most famous traps in the history of tabletop gaming.
Oh, we absolutely have to talk about the Briark method.
Briark. It's a linguistic trap that is just, it is diabolical game design.
It really is. So for the listener who hasn't run this module or didn't fall victim to it back in the 80s, let's explain the setup. Because this trap doesn't actually start in the cave. It starts way back at the keep, at the tavern.
Correct. So you roll on the rumor table provided in the module. It's a list of things players might hear while buying drinks. Some are true, some are false. And if you are unlucky enough to get rumor number 10, the text explicitly tells you that Briark is goblin language for we surrender.
Which sounds incredibly helpful. You think, great, I have a safe word. If I get into a fight and they shout this, I can stop swinging, take prisoners, maybe get some info. You feel so smart.
It completely plays on the player's desire to be strategic and smart. But then you get to the actual source text for the Goblin Lair itself. And it defines Briark not as we surrender, but as, hey, Rube.
Hey, Rube, which is that old carnival slang for, help, we're under attack, everyone come fight.
Precisely. It is a distress signal. It's a call for immediate reinforcements. So the module is deliberately feeding the listener false information that is designed to get them killed.
So the scene plays out like this. The goblin shouts Briark. The player, thinking they are clever, shouts hold, they're surrendering, and lowers their shield. And then 6 more goblins jump out of the shadows and stab them.
Yeah, it establishes right away that you cannot trust the world around you. It's a harsh lesson, but it also tells us so much about the goblins themselves.
How so?
Well, they know they are weak individually, they rely on swarming, they have a coded cry for help because they are constantly expecting trouble.
Speaking of expecting trouble, let's look at the defensive perimeter. Because the layout of the lair and the way these guards are stationed tells us a lot about who the goblins are actually afraid of. And spoiler alert for you listening, it's not just the adventurers.
No, this is where the tactical map gets really interesting. You have 2 main guard rooms near the entrance, room 17 and room 18. Now, room 17 has 6 goblin guards armed with spears, but the text notes they are specifically watching the southern passage.
And what is down the southern passage?
The hobgoblins.
So they're guarding against their own neighbors.
Yes. The source material hints heavily at intertribal tension here. The goblins and hobgoblins are technically allies in the broader chaos of the caves, but the goblins clearly do not trust them at all. They have 6 guys with a barrel of 60 spare spears just staring down that southern corridor.
Wait, a barrel of 60 spears? That seems a bit excessive for 6 guys.
That's 10 spears per guard. That isn't a simple patrol loadout, that is a siege stockpile. They are terrified of an invasion from the south. They are dug in.
That paints such a bleak picture of their existence. They are living in this hole, terrified of the bigger bullies right next door.
Right, but then you look at room 18, the Eastern Guard. These are the guys watching the entrance of the passage to the east. They have a completely different set of instructions.
This is honestly my favorite mechanic in the whole dungeon. They don't just fight, they have a panic button.
They really do. If they shout Briark, or if they see they are losing, 2 of the guards don't even engage. They are instructed to immediately turn and run to a secret door in the wall.
And they aren't running away to hide, they are running to the bank.
In a manner of speaking, yeah. They run to a water barrel in the corner of their room. Hidden inside that barrel, which, by the way, keeps the loot wet and safe from casual adventurers just glancing around, is a sack containing exactly 250 gold pieces.
That is a very specific amount of petty cash to just have in a barrel.
Because it's a retainer fee. They take that sack, open the secret door, and toss it into the next cave area E.
The Ogre Cave.
The Ogre Caves. The text literally says they toss the sack to buy his immediate assistance. It's an economic transaction. They aren't praying to some dark chaos god for help. They are paying a mercenary to save their skins.
So let's talk about this ogre, because he is basically the landlord of this entire section of the caves.
He really is the superpower of the goblin lair. Area E. The description creates a very vivid picture. He's a huge monster. He has an armor class of 4 due to his thick hide, heavily muscled. But it's his lifestyle that really stands out. He sleeps on a huge bear skin. A bear he killed himself, the text notes piled on top of leaves.
And he smells.
That strong, sour odor from earlier, it pervades the entire area. This is a creature of comfort in his own gross way. He's carved out a niche where he just gets paid to smash things.
But here's where it gets really interesting for anyone playing this. He's a mercenary. He has absolutely no loyalty.
No loyalty whatsoever. The text says he usually serves the goblins and sometimes the hobgoblins, but he has been bought off by orcs and gnolls before, and crucially, he could be bought off by the players.
This blew my mind when I read it. The DM is explicitly instructed that if the players offer him 20 or more gold pieces in value,
It's just 20.
he is 90% likely to take the money and let them leave unmolested.
Think about the pure math there. The goblins pay him 250 gold pieces to fight. The players pay him 20 gold pieces to not fight.
He's making money on both ends.
He is totally double-dipping. He sees the 250 from the goblins as his salary. He sees the 20 from the players as a tip to just look the other way. It's a fascinating insight into his intelligence. He's not smart in a bookish sense, but he has a very cunning business sense.
But there's a catch for the players.
There's always a catch with chaotic, evil mercenaries. The text says he stays bought only for the moment. If he catches the players again later on, or if they try to come back, all bets are off. He attacks regardless of past bribes. You can rent him, but you cannot own him.
And if you decide, you know what, I'm not paying this guy, I'm taking him out, the reward is actually pretty significant.
It is. He's hoarding quite a stash. hidden under a heap of old bones in the southern part of his caves, which again plays perfectly into that messy, smelly atmosphere. He has some serious magical loot.
What's in the pile?
6 magic arrows plus 1, a potion of invisibility, and a magic scroll with Cure Light Wounds and Old Person on it.
That is a game-changing haul for a starting level party.
Absolutely. Plus, if the goblins had time to toss that sack, he has their 250 gold pieces too. So economically, taking out the ogre is the best move. But tactically, it's a total nightmare because he hits like a truck.
It really paints a picture of the goblins' terrible situation. They're paying a huge chunk of their tribal wealth just to stay safe, and their protector is a guy who will sell them out for pocket change.
Oh, it gets worse for the goblins.
Yeah.
Much worse. If we move past the guards and the ogre, we get into the actual heart of the lair. Room 19, the common room.
This room genuinely makes me feel bad for them.
It should. This is where the grim reality of the goblin existence sets in. You have a demographics breakdown in the text. 10 males, 14 females, and 6 young.
And it's described as a mess.
Heaps of bedding, tables, stools, and benches. It's chaotic, it's crowded, and it's dirty. And what's tragic is the complete lack of wealth. Despite having nearly 30 goblins living in this room, the text notes there is almost nothing of value.
Just one piece of silk worth 150 gold pieces hidden in the trash.
Right. It implies they are constantly scavenging, bringing back whatever they can find, but they aren't keeping the good stuff. They're living in squalor. If the lair is invaded, the text says those able will help defend. And if the guards from room 17 or 18 retreated, you'll find an additional 6 males here. It's their last stand.
And this leads us to the biggest injustice in the Caves of Chaos.
Yes, the supply chain. Area 21.
So this is the storage room. It's heavily guarded, 4 goblins with crossbows, which is a serious tactical escalation from the spear wielders at the front entrance. They are protecting their food supply.
Bales, boxes, crates, barrels. The text specifically says the goblins work hard to steal cloth, food, beer, and wine. They're industrious little thieves.
But they're also described as not too bright.
Right, because while they are fiercely guarding the front door of the storage room, they are completely unaware of the secret door in the back.
This is the hobgoblin parasite theory, and I love it.
It's not a theory, it's fact. The source text explicitly says that the neighboring hobgoblins, remember, the ones the goblins were guarding against with those 60 spears in room 17, have a secret door connecting directly from Area F into this storage room.
And they're using it to shop.
They're using it to loot. The text says the hobgoblins use this door to steal the best food and drink. They leave the goblins with all the low-value goods, the vinegar and the moldy bread, while they take the good wine and the fresh meat.
So the goblins are out there risking their lives, dodging patrols, fighting adventurers, dragging this heavy stuff back to the caves, only for their bigger, stronger neighbors to sneak in the back door and eat the best parts.
It's a completely parasitic relationship. And the goblins don't even know. They just think they're bad at finding good food. Or maybe they think the ogre is eating it all.
There is a really fun mechanic here where if the players hang out in this storage room for too long, the hobgoblins actually show up, right?
Yes. If the adventurers stay in room 21 for more than one turn, 4 hobgoblins pop through that secret door, expecting to just grab a quick snack.
Imagine the awkwardness of that encounter. You have the players robbing the goblins, the hobgoblins coming to rob the goblins, and the goblins are outside guarding the door thinking their stuff is perfectly safe.
It's a 3-way standoff waiting to happen. And it just perfectly highlights the hierarchy of the caves. Goblins are at the very bottom, getting squeezed from all sides.
Well, almost everyone in the tribe is getting squeezed. The chieftain seems to be doing okay for himself.
Yes. The chieftain in room 20.
He's not sleeping on a pile of dirty rags in the common room.
Definitely not. The text says his quarters have good furniture, although it thoughtfully notes it is scaled to goblin size.
Which is a nice touch. Just a little miniature throne room setup.
He's also geared up properly. He's armor class 4, wearing chainmail and a shield. He fights with a battle axe, and he actually gets a damage bonus due to his strength. This isn't your average 3 hit point goblin minion.
And he has personal bodyguards.
3 guards with bows, plus 2 females who the text notes fight as effectively as males. This is basically his Praetorian Guard. They have bows hung on the wall, ready to use if given any time at all. They are dug in.
And unlike the common room, which was full of trash and one piece of silk, this room has actual serious treasure. But you have to find it.
It's a classic tabletop treasure hunt. There's a low bench near his bed. It looks like just the seat, but it has a secret drawer hidden under it.
What's in the box?
A tapestry woven with silver and gold threads worth 900 gold pieces.
900, that is a fortune.
That is a massive amount of wealth for a level 1 adventure party. Plus, there's a pewter bowl in there containing silver and copper coins.
And the chief himself is walking around with platinum in his purse.
He is. He also has a silver cup stashed under his bed. So while his tribe is starving in room 19, eating the hobgoblin's leftovers, and paying the ogre exorbitant protection money, the chieftain is just hoarding high-value art objects and platinum coins in his bedroom.
Typical management.
It really fits the theme of the lair, doesn't it? The corruption at the top, the exploitation from the neighbors, the unreliability of their hired mercenaries. The Goblin Lair isn't just a combat encounter, it's a tragedy of resource mismanagement.
It really is. So when we step back and look at Area D, the Goblin Lair as a whole, what are we really seeing?
We're seeing a society on the brink of collapse. They are hyperactive, they're constantly patrolling because they are terrified. They have set up these elaborate traps like the Briark cry because they know they're physically weak. They are funneling their hard-earned money to an ogre who doesn't respect them, and they are unknowingly feeding the hobgoblins next door.
And yet they are arguably the most industrious group in the entire ravine. They're the ones out there actually gathering the supplies.
That's the ultimate irony of the module. They are the economic engine of this section of the Caves of Chaos, but they retain almost none of the value they generate. Everyone else is leeching off them.
So if you are an adventurer entering Area D, you aren't just fighting monsters in a dark cave. You are walking right into a high-stress, high-stakes political dispute.
And if you are smart, you can use that to your advantage. You could bribe the ogre for just 20 gold. You can ambush the hobgoblins in the supply room. You can exploit the fact that the goblins are absolutely terrified of that south passage.
Knowledge is power, especially when that knowledge is that Briark definitely does not mean we surrender.
Indeed. That's a lesson best learned right here on the deep dive, rather than at the wrong end of a goblin spear.
Absolutely. It's just fascinating stuff. It makes you realize how much incredible detail was packed into these early modules. They weren't just random rooms thrown onto grid paper. There was a real logic to it all.
A grim, sour-smelling logic, but logic nonetheless.
Before we go, I want to leave you, the listener, with one final provocative thought to mull over. We've talked extensively about how organized this lair is. The patrols, the food bags, the guard rotations, the local economy.
Right.
If the players come in and wipe them out, kill the chief, slay the ogre, take that 900 gold piece tapestry, what happens to the ecosystem of the caves?
That is the big question, isn't it? You create a massive power vacuum. The hobgoblins lose their primary food source, so maybe they become much more aggressive and start attacking the caves. Keep itself to survive. The orcs might move into those nice work stone tunnels. By removing the weakest link in the chain, you might inadvertently make the Caves of Chaos much, much more dangerous.
Just something to think about next time you reach for that 20-sided die.
Actions have consequences.
Well, that wraps up our look at the Goblin Lair and their mercenary ogre ally. Next time you are exploring the Borderlands, check the water barrels. You might find a sack of gold, or you might just find some wet supplies.
And keep an eye on those secret doors in the pantry. You never know who is coming over for dinner.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Stay safe in the caves.
Watch your back out there.